What is going on, everyone? It's your guy, Cole Jackson, back with another episode of the Film Room. We're going to be diving into the question, what happened to the Baltimore Ravens on third down on Sunday against the Detroit Lions? It was a struggle, 1 for 10 on the money down, a lot of long third and whatever conversions. I think they were averaging 3rd and 7, something like that. So we're going to get into it. We're going to kind of go through each play, dissect why. If you're enjoying all of these breakdowns, it's been mostly offensive line. We're going to step outside the comfort zone. We're going to get into third down, otherwise known as the money down, and understand what was going on there. But if you're enjoying these breakdowns, click the like button and subscribe so you can find your way back for more here on Two Guys Watching Football. Before we get into it, I want to take a second to say a huge thank you to the sponsors of the 2021 Film Room. It's our friends over at the Flavor Cupcakery and Bake Shop, Hartford County's sweetest bake shop, and the winners of Season 4 of Cupcake Wars on the Food Network, so you know they're legit. Flavor specializes in freshly baked cupcakes and many other sweet treats, as well as La Colombe coffee and espresso drinks. Stop by for a delicious treat or a coffee and tell them that the Two Guys Watching Football sent you. I've dropped all of their information in the description below, so to be sure to check them out. So let's get right into it, and let's start off with some excellent statistics. We are very lucky in this fan base that we have some awesome guys. So this is coming from our guy at Yoshi2052. This is a nice list that he did up for me. It breaks down each of the 10 third down attempts. So it's going to give us quarter time, the play type. And so for the purposes, if you looked at this at a quick glance, it might look like 4 runs to 6 pass attempts on third down. I don't think that necessarily captures the true essence of the play. 2 of them were scrambles, so it was really 2 called run plays to 8 dropbacks. 2 of those 8 dropbacks go for scrambles, but they were still on-called pass plays. So, heavy focus on passing the football on third down. I think that's not that hard to understand when we look at the distance to go. We were looking at runs on 3rd and 3. After that, it's 9, 10, 18, 7, 10, 5, 10, 13. So that was really kind of the difference. And I think our guy Yoshi did a nice little summary of that here on this next one. This kind of looks at Vegas, KC, and Detroit on third down. So 12, 11, and 10 attempts through the 3 weeks. So, pretty similar attempts. The Ravens struggled against Vegas, 3 for 12, but then did a lot better against Kansas City before struggling against Detroit. And I think the average distance to go, that's really the story here. They were averaging 3rd and 5 against Kansas City. Naturally, that leads to them going for 6 to 11. They were looking at 3rd and 8.8. I lied right off the bat. I said 3rd and 7. It looks like it was 3rd and 8, almost 3rd and 9. And then, we're seeing the average distance converted. I think this really shows us that they're having more success when the down to go is shorter distance. That's not necessarily surprising. I also need to point out that the reason the average distance converted is 18 yards against Detroit is because they only converted 1. And that 1 conversion was the Devin Duvernay touchdown. Our guy, Dan Reese, at DP Reese 8, also did a nice job looking into some of the advanced statistics. So, looking at the third down rate, the Ravens have a serious success rate, new first down or touchdown, of just 39% through week 3, which is the 6th worst in the NFL. This really shows what we just saw in the previous piece. They've been struggling this year on third down. Look better against KC, but Vegas and Detroit very much down games. Obviously, these Detroit numbers going 1 for 10 are going to tank anything. They also have the 2nd highest percentage of negative plays on third down pass attempts, includes a 21% sack rate, which is the 2nd highest, and a 12.5% interception rate, and 25% incompletions, which is the 21st highest. We're going to see a sack and an interception on our breakdown tonight. I think this was also really relevant. I'm glad Dan pulled this. One of the things that really helps Lamar Jackson is his ability to scramble. If you're in something like 3rd and 3, he is hard to cover because he can use those feet and churn out 3 yards. You have to play your defense to ensure that those linebackers are staying up, and that can really open up the passing game. But Lamar was just 0 for 3 in converting first downs on third downs, quarterback scrambles. We're going to see 2 of those tonight. We're going to kind of see what happened on those. So that's going to be some nice context. But, in 2020, he converted 60% of his QB scrambles on third for first downs. And the lack of execution is one of the reasons this game was so close. Looking at EPA, 7.7 expected points. And what made it even worse is that one of those plays was a plus 4.2 EPA. So the EPA numbers not in the Ravens' favor. Huge thanks to Dan for pulling those. So we're going to get into the tape, and essentially what we're going to be kind of looking at is some of the consistent themes. We're going to start off with 2 runs. We're going to kind of see some interesting things, some different things, but essentially what I want to kind of come away from this is understanding kind of where they're having issues. And I will be doing a bit of a summary at the end. This breakdown in this game, looking at these 10 attempts, is really going to show how complex this game is, because it's not just an easy answer. It's not just, the pass protection on third down was bad. It's not just Lamar's missing guys. It's not just we're dropping the ball. It's guys aren't getting open. It was kind of a mixed bag, and that is good, I guess, in the sense that it's not one thing that's kind of dooming the Ravens on third down, but it also means that it kind of speaks to that lack of fluidity. And I think we saw a lot of that in 2020. It seemed like the offense couldn't get in sync. If it wasn't a drop on one play, it was a bad pass protection, or it was a Lamar miss. And, it kind of kept churning and churning and churning early in the season. And it seemed like they just couldn't get in a rhythm. So that's obviously got to play a role here. It's a bit of a concern. So without further ado, let's get into the tape. Let's actually see what happened. I'm going to be doing my best to try and give you guys some context on each of these third downs. So this was the first drive of the game, 3rd and 3. It's a called run play. I'm going to run it. I'll break down what kind of the play call was, what the Ravens were hoping to do, and what the Lions did to have success here. So let's run it through. Hand off to Freeman. And a loss of 2. So this first drive, it's a 3 and out. I remember watching the game, and I was just like, oh boy, not what you want to see. So the play call here, we're going to see Powers pull. It's going to be a handoff here, but it is an option between Lamar and Devontae Freeman. It depends on what you want to term this. It's an inverted veer or a power read. Sometimes the inverted veer will be called without a pulling player, which I think is what has kind of led to people calling it the power read. But it's an inverted veer in the sense that the running back swing or the quarterback dive are the options. The veer is obviously the flip. That's why it's called the inverted veer. So let's watch. We're going to see Powers pull, and he's met by the edge player here, and the linebacker comes downhill. So ideally on this play, what you'd like to see is this defensive end is the read man. And so that is why the ball is handed off here. He's crashing down. He's taking on Powers. This is something that the Lions did really well. They really attacked the pulling Ravens guards. The Ravens are a team that runs a lot of power, runs a lot of counter with pulls and false pulls. So it's not necessarily surprising to see the defense adjust to this. So we see the defensive end crash down. That tells Lamar it's the outside sweep, but the Lions do a great job. So this right here, where you see this defensive end crash down and the fill here, this is called a scrape and exchange. So they're going to essentially crash him down, and he's going to fill his gap. This is something that works really well against option concepts. I tweeted about today. Something the Lions did really well in this game is playing the option concepts. He comes downhill. Watch, he's not even looking at the ball carry. He's going right for Powers, and then he's coming down, and it's just a one-on-one. So ideally, if this play works, Powers, you'll have 95 here as the read man, and Powers is probably pulling into him or around him into the linebacker. Ideally, you want to get that puller into the linebacker, and that's really what's going to spring this run. You're hoping this guy crashes down but doesn't take out the puller. Puller goes around him, seal block on the outside shoulder of the linebacker, Freeman off him. This is just played perfectly. We can talk about the play call. I know some people weren't happy that Freeman was running this so early in the game. It's 3rd and 3. Not ideal, but also like I'm not kidding when I say you cannot play this better as a defense. This perfectly defends the inverted veer. There's no option here. If Lamar keeps it, he's swallowed up by middle of the defense here. You see here, 95 comes off of him, and he's ready if Lamar keeps that. Powers is trying to work to this guy, so he's not really trying to bang that guy and then seal his shoulder. He's trying to get to the linebacker. So, like I said, perfectly played by the Lions. Credit the defense there. It really is just a good call against the play type that the Ravens went with. That said, I'm more than open to hearing criticism on the play calling early in this game. I think the Ravens adjusted very well. I've been very vocal about that. But, 3rd and 3, first drive, I think they went Tyson Williams on the first play, Latavius Murray on the second play, Devontae Freeman on the third play. I'm not sure any running back is making this work, but I know people are upset, and I can understand your frustration. Now we're going to get into the second drive. So this, for context, we had 2 first rounds on this drive. It started in Baltimore territory. They got down to the Detroit 38 for 1st and 10. This is now 3rd and 3. They're on the 38, so this led to the missed field goal. We are going to see, well, here, let's run it through and I'll explain the play call. So this is what we call a duos concept. So we are going to see, speed up to the double teams. How do I know this is duos? We are going to see double teams, 2 double teams right here. Powers and Bozeman double team on the 1 tech, then a more outside double team on the 3 tech between Zeitler and Makari. So that's just a standard duos play. A few things happen here, and that's why this play was so interesting. So the duos concept, you're reading off the Mike linebacker. In this case, it's probably this guy. It really depends on how the offense define the linebackers, but I think you have the Will here, the Mike here, and the Sam here more to the outside, even though this is the strong side of the field. I believe this is the Mike linebacker that Latavius Murray is reading. The first thing that happens here that I don't like is, let's go to the start. So watch Patrick McCary here, 65. Again, he's supposed to be squeezing this guy with Zeitler, and you're going to see Zeitler give him a quick pop, the 3-tech a quick pop, and then peel off into the second level. He was expecting McCary to take this on quickly. Watch McCary's body position go to the inside of the defensive lineman. So that right there is not what we want on these double teams. These double teams are supposed to be very seamless. What I'd like to see McCary do is squeeze this player. So Zeitler's going to give him help, but then he's going to get off his block into the second level. He needs to set on the outside shoulder, have his head across so that he can get a drive on him. He sets inside. He just runs through his outside shoulder. So why is that so important? Well, you can see right here, it forces a quick read off of Murray. So imagine he's getting, even if he's not getting a drive down the field, imagine he's just stalling him there and he's not beating him. Look how open this cutback lane is. So the handoff goes to the right side. You can already see Murray reading. Again, he's reading the Mike linebacker here. So he's reading off of that. He does not see this cutback lane. If he saw this cutback lane, he has a DB here filling that he's probably going to run through. Well, I shouldn't say he's going to run through. I'm pretty confident if he cuts it back here, he's going to get the 3 yards and it's a first down. But he, it's one of those things I was kind of critical of Murray on this play, but when you go back and watch it, I mean, Makari's guy gets right into his lap and he has to bounce it. So he's reading that. He's reading the Mike linebacker here, which Ricard ends up taking on. He bounces it. And I think he actually justified in bouncing it, because if you look at the way Tomlinson and Ricard set up their guys, Tomlinson takes care of this guy. Ricard is going to peel inside here. Look at Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown's taking a lot of heat. I don't know why he did not attack this shoulder. He came down inside like he was supposed to. He peels off of him into the safety down here. And I think if you asked Hollywood, why did you do that? I think he thinks Ricard is going to take this man and Zeitler should be reaching this guy. But I mean, the way offensive line play usually works is you work inside out. So if I'm Marquise Brown here, my team's trying to get 3 yards. I'm going to seal block this guy. He doesn't seal block. He goes unblocked, makes the play on Murray. So let's watch it again. So I think a couple things again. Makari gets driven through, forces the bounce out. Hollywood Brown doesn't come down and hit the seal block on 41. I think that's really what happens here. Hollywood comes down, and look, he just kind of skirts around him. It was a very strange play. And then he does go into the safety, so it looked like he thought that was his job. And you can kind of see Ricard. Watch Ricard. See how he's ready to, if this guy gets reach block, he's going to get to 41. That's fine. And he's probably kicking him out. But, I mean, like I said, most of these guys are working inside. So you would hope that Brown could, hit that seal block. And then, maybe he's just working against his cornerback. And again, like on the inside cutback, I think he runs through that tackle for 3 yards. At least gets a lot closer than a no gain. So 2 straight run plays, one of which I thought Detroit played really well. I guess you could say they played this well. I think it was poor execution by the Ravens offensive line in run blocking. Moving on to the next third down. The context here, this is right after Lamar's 31-yard scramble. They had the offensive holding penalty that backed them up to 2nd and 15. They did a gain of 6 to Josh Oliver. This set up 3rd and 9 on the Baltimore 42. Let's go through it, see what's going on. So it is a pass play. However, Lamar does scramble, and he goes nowhere. So let's take a look here. I should have grabbed both angles because you're going to see some pressure that forces the stand-up. Keep an eye here in the slots. Sammy Watkins is here on the close side. I believe it's Duvernay on the far side. They're going to both run whip routes right there. So they cut inside, and then they turn inwards and then back out to the sideline. That's called a whip route. You can see, I don't think Duvernay's was working here on the far side of the field. On the close side of the field, if Lamar was able to stand still in the pocket, you can see some separation here. I think if he's able to hit Sammy on that play, I think he's going to have some space and attack the first down marker. But what happens? Why can't Lamar do that? Watch Kevin Zeitler here. See that? This is why I'd like to have the end zone angle. It looks like he just gets hit with the hand swipe and loses that kind of outside shoulder, forces Lamar to step up in the pocket. By the time he steps up and he's kind of got his hand cocked, he's reset, the whip route has already happened. Hitting those whip routes because of where they're run, they need to be quick. The ball needs to be out. I think if the pressure isn't there, it's hard to see where Lamar's reading. It looks like he might be trying to hit Mark Andrews here. Again, you're making a lot of speculation trying to he's going to do things like look off safeties and whatnot. So obviously that's a factor. But I think Watkins, had the play there. And even though he's going to receive the ball short of the sticks, I think there's enough separation right there and he's got enough field to work with where I think he could have made that work. Unfortunately, this is a pass protection issue. Zeitler gives up the pressure. And they're in zone, and this is why playing zone against Lamar Jackson is so important. This guy's sitting in the middle of the field. If you look, he's directly at the sticks. That's how they're setting this up, and they're just going to do a chase down at Lamar. He's only going to get a couple yards. I think he got 2-yard gain. So, I mean, not much there. The other thing to note, watch Hollywood Brown. He's going to go up and cut inside right there. That's wide open. Absolutely wide open. So, I mean, you could argue here that Lamar should have, once he stepped up, evading the pressure, could have stayed a little bit more composed instead of taking off, because Hollywood breaks that inside, and because these linebackers are playing the sticks, he's going to just cut in right behind them. And that is, I mean, assuming he catches it, but that's just right in the middle. This is against, I think you'd call this probably cover 1. I don't think it's cover 3 because these guys I don't think are deep enough. It might be cover 3. Either way, it's really that Zeitler pressure, but I think you could kind of take a look. The problem is the pressure happens so early, right? Like Zeitler gets his hand smashed. So he didn't even get a chance. Lamar step up. Hollywood hasn't even broken by the time Lamar's stepping up. when he breaks, he's kind of already tucked it and he's taking off. So, it's one of those things where in a perfect world, but guys got to make their blocks. You got to have good pass protection. So that definitely factors in. So we're going to go on to the next scramble. This is Ravens get good field position. They started at the Detroit 46. They get a 21-yard gain to Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews feasted in this game with some very large gains. And right before this on second down was the first end zone drop by Hollywood Brown. So factor that in. Let's run the playthrough. So the way I read this play, the guy I focused on, it looks like Lamar's looking left right off the snap, and I think he's trying to hit Duvernay. You see him there. Watkins is kind of taken right out of this play. It's just kind of the coverage eats it up. So he could be looking at Watkins there to try and hit him on the slant. But it's really, I think, Duvernay that he was looking at. And credit the corner here. He just hits him with outside leverage, and he runs through. So when Duvernay kind of cuts it back inside, he's running right into the leverage. And by that part, I think Lamar saw a bit of an opening. But again, these guys are playing zone coverage here in the middle of the field. So this linebacker is hugging. And as soon as Lamar takes off, he's going to get chased down. He's also getting chased down from behind. So that doesn't help. I think the thing here, if you want to be critical of Lamar, watch when. So he's going to take off right here. He's got the ball cocked and then he tucks it. There's so much more space to the right side of the field. So that's kind of the issue. Is he's reading left, and then as he steps up, he thinks he has enough space. He's still looking left because he was just reading there. So, it's one of those things where I think you'd like to see him kind of scan to the right, but he could have felt this pressure coming from the Detroit. They kind of wash out the pocket. Lamar steps up. Ideally, you'd like to see him take off right away. If he attacks that right side, I think he's probably going to make a move on this guy, evade the pressure from behind just due to his speed, maybe get the first, at least get closer. It is what it is at that point. So, I mean, again, you got a couple things going here. You got, guys can't get open. You got pressure coming from behind. Ideally, you want to see Lamar there. That's what I mean. There's a lot of things going on this play. Before we get into the next one, it is time for the Flavor Cupcakery Sweetest Play of the Day. It's the only third down conversion of the day, so it can't get much sweeter than that. Thanks to our friends at Flavor Cupcakery for sponsoring the 2021 Film Room. Let's roll the clip. And that right there is a touchdown to Devin Duvernay. Now, go get yourself a cupcake or another sweet treat. Flavor's info is in the description below. Thank you to our friends over at Flavor for bringing you the Flavor Cupcakery Sweetest Play of the Day. So very simple breakdown here. You're going to see Duvernay come out of the slot with Mark Andrews. He's going to just run a corner route. And I thought what was interesting here is watch the safety. So it looks like they're playing cover two. And the safety on this side follows Mark Andrews, but so does the other safety. So I almost think that this safety thought he had a deeper help from maybe thinking he has cover four, where this guy's going to kind of have that back of the end zone play. But this is just a well-placed ball by Lamar Jackson. Good focus by Duvernay to get his feet in. Beautiful play, beautiful execution by the Baltimore Ravens. You really like to see that. This was coming after Devin Duvernay had the fumble and the kickoff return. This also came after a couple of Marquise Brown drops, maybe just one at this point. But still, it's nice to see some composure, get the ball in there. Again, just nice corner route, good ball placement by Lamar, feet down, boom, 6. That was definitely one of their more positive plays on the day. And getting into the next one. So we are now on drive 6. This is after they had the big gain to James Prochet on the sideline catch that he had. I believe it was his only catch of the day. You guys will recognize this play. I had to do it from the end zone angle just to give a different perspective. Lamar evades pressure and not what you want to see. What I didn't like here, let's look at the offensive line. This is actually why I pulled the end zone angle. So they're going to show 4-man pressure. The left side's really only dealing with one guy. Powers gives inside help as he should. I don't know what AV's doing with the hook. He sets a bit too deep. I'd like to see him a little bit more in line with the line of scrimmage. He kind of drops that back foot too deep. It's immediately seen by the edge player, and he just spins AV. AV misses. Again, this is what makes Lamar, when they talk about it being, how does Lamar help his offensive line? I mean, not every quarterback can just, this pressure comes immediately. Like, he's just getting to the end of his drop back, and there's the pressure. Lamar escapes and then throws a dime, and Marquise Brown just can't tackle it. I mean, there's not a lot to break down here. AV causes Lamar to throw under pressure. The ball still looks good to me. I mean, watch the ball travel into Marquise Brown's hands. Had a little bit trouble tracking it. You'll see him right here. He's got to spin back around. But I mean, come on, it hits your hands. Like, you got to bring that in. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this one. I think we've all seen it beat us all in the head to death. So it's just poor execution. But also, that's another play with bad offensive line protection on third down. And, these are high leverage situations where you want to keep your quarterback clean. So even though Lamar gets the ball off and it's a clean throw, he still is forced to move. So, maybe if the ball comes out a little bit quicker because AV makes his block, maybe Marquise Brown doesn't have to twist. That's how I mean this game can be so complicated, but that's still an egregious drop. I'm not giving an excuse to Marquise Brown for that one. Let's get into the next one. We are now at, this was an interesting one. So we're 3rd and 10. This came after another big Mark Andrews gain. This was this 41-yarder. We're going to see, I'm going to have it in 2. It's going to run for 20 seconds here. I have it in both. It's going to be this deep end zone throw to Mark Andrews. I wanted to do it in both because I want to show the pressure Lamar evaded. So you're going to see 41 here. It almost looks when the ball is snapped like he's going to take on coverage here. It's a delayed blitz. So right off the snap, they have 1, 2, 3-man pressure. But then you see 4-man pressure. But then you see 41 come on the delayed blitz. And that's really just nicely timed by Detroit. That's why AV reads inside. They hand off the twist here. Really nice handoff, actually. KZ kicks him out here, which I thought that was really solid. Makari keeps his guy stunted. So, I mean, if 41 doesn't come on the delayed blitz, they block this up really well. KZ kind of pushes him right through the pocket when he came on the stunt. But look at Lamar. Boom. He just evades it, gets the ball right out. But it was that pressure that I think disrupted the ball placement. If you see it here, Mark Andrews is looking over his right shoulder for this ball, and the ball lands to the left. So you can see it right there. Sorry for the video quality. Game Pass was giving me a bunch of a pain, but he's looking over his right shoulder. He keeps running, and then you see him bend back to his left trying to catch the ball. So, I mean, once again, the question was, do I blame this on the offensive line? I think I'm not sure what Makari could do with 41 because of this being a stunt. I mean, they have to take care of this. You read inside out. These are your 2 inside men. Makari and Zeitler have to pass that off, and they do it well. Delayed blitz comes in. Lamar's forced to hold on to it, and then he has to get it out quick. So do I call that bad placement by Lamar? I mean, a bit, because I do think he had to get that to Mark Andrews' right-hand side, more inside here towards the uprights. But when you look at the pressure he had to evade, I mean, he's got to take that and then set and throw really quick. So it's a bit of a tough one. I think he also probably saw this DB cutting inside, and he wanted to, make Andrews go get the ball. So, unfortunate play, but like I said on the first 2 run plays by Detroit, this is where you're going to give the defense a little bit of credit. I mean, we see Wink Martindale do this every week with these delayed blitzes, and you can see the impact. So, they played this well, so credit them there. And the next one here, this is ball thrown away. Let's run it through. Lamar has to evade. He's got no one open, but he's also running away. He just gets the ball out. So what happened here? Alejandro Villanueva again losing a pass set on a high leverage situation on money down. Just watch. He just loses inside leverage. I probably should have again grabbed the end zone clip for this. Remember when I said earlier on his clip how he got a little bit too deep in his set? I think that left foot is just way too far behind. He has no power on his inside foot. He would essentially have to use his right hand to beat the inside move, and he just can't do it. I mean, he's too high. He kind of takes a skip step. Watch, see there, he takes a skip step there. So I think he's setting a little too deep here. It looked like the Detroit edge defenders against Villanueva. They kind of did what Max Crosby did in the second half of that Raiders game, and they set on his inside a lot, forcing him to try and move, and then they would work off of it with spin moves and inside counters. And, this is just, he didn't have his hands up. Lamar gets lucky to get away, has to throw the ball away. I believe this led to a field goal. So unfortunate situation there. Offensive line on money down definitely didn't help. So that's, again, another pressure. This one is, I believe, the interception. Yeah, I'm going to run this all the way through. So this is the interception. Let's watch it. Actually gets blocked up well. I will show the end zone angle. So you'll see here, I would probably chart this as a pressure because Lamar is forced to step back. AV here can't anchor. He's just going to get bull rushed. See how he's just getting pushed back? He's about a yard deeper than McCary and Zeitler are. So that didn't help. And then this guy gets loose because he threw off Bozeman. This was probably Bozeman, in my opinion, one of his worst snaps through 3 weeks. Not that he was necessarily the cause for the interception, but he just gets kind of that's just kind of a snatch on him, and he just kind of gets right through him. Lamar gets the ball out, but what I want to focus on here, because my guy Spencer Schultz at Ravens for Dummies pointed this out, and I think it's really important. Sammy Watkins, 14 here at the bottom of your screen. He's going to cut all the way across, and Hollywood Brown stops running on his route. And watch where Sammy's running into and whose man catches the football on the interception. See Sammy cutting across right here. So he's going to cut to the sticks here, right at Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown stops running. As Sammy's running and the ball comes out, he's got some separation. He can make a play on that ball. Why did Marquise Brown stop running? See, he just stops. If he carries his man here, Sammy's far enough away. Lamar still has the ball. If he accelerates through and just continues on a 9 route, I think Sammy's got a chance. Lamar tries to throw Sammy open. Ball comes out right there. And it lands over here at the 30 marker. Or I guess, the 20, but outside at the numbers. And Marquise Brown just kind of off here doing his own thing. So, as much as I'm giving the offensive line some crap here, that's, again, another Marquise Brown bit of a mistake. I'm not sure what he's doing, why he stops running. If he clears him out, Sammy Watkins can at least make a play on the ball. And you can kind of see his DB that's following him. Watch the DB right here. Watch him kind of stumble. See how he kind of runs into the Ravens player? And, he recovers, and that's a tough catch. But at least he's going to make a play on the ball. And Marquise Brown's guy is the one that makes the interception. The target looked like it was going for Sammy Watkins. I don't think he threw this up to Marquise Brown. I think he was trying to hit Sammy on the crosser. Let's see if we can look at his head angle. Let's see if he's reading right to left here. He starts reading left, and then he looks inside right. Look who he's looking at, Sammy Watkins. That gives me enough reason to believe that he thought Marquise Brown was running his man out. He came back inside, saw Sammy, tried to lead him. Interception. Very unfortunate play. I don't come into these trying to crap on a guy, but it's just one of those plays where you wonder what is going through Marquise Brown's head on this one. And this brings us to our last one. Somehow Lamar gets out of bounds. This sets up the miracle 4th and 16. It's a negative 6-yard sack that Lamar got out here. This is just bad pass protection. KZ loses again inside. Lamar somehow escapes this. This was crazy that he even got out of this. And he gets outside, and he gets, tripped up out of bounds. So it is a sack, but, luckily he got out of bounds to stop the clock. Zeitler here thrown it kind of the same as that one we saw earlier. He just kind of, swipes his hands, and then somehow Lamar doesn't get sacked there. That's just good evasion. Gets out, tried to make something happen. But so, that's kind of what we're looking at with this one. We just saw a lot. 10 plays is a lot to take in. We're at 36 minutes now, so let's take a bit of a quick summary. What did we see? We saw a bit of a mixture of things. We saw a lot of poor execution, no doubt about that. We saw some poor pass protection. We saw a drop. We saw Marquise Brown stop running his route. So, it's one of those things. That's what I was talking about. I think when it comes to – and Denard Melton at Denard13, he talked about this a lot on the defensive show, and he even did a series on impact sacks. That's where you're looking at sacks and pressures that aren't just, happening throughout the game. A sack on first down is as important. It's important. Sack on third down has a bigger impact on the game. So, seeing bad pass protection on 4 or 5 plays when you only have 10 third downs, those are high leverage moments. That's where you'd like to see more of an impact from your offensive line. So, of course, that has a negative impact. So I think, number one, pass protection on third down wasn't where it needed to be. I think Lamar did a great job of creating space for himself, evading that sack. When he kind of spun out and got the ball to Marquise Brown, when he evaded the pressure from the delayed blitz, even though I don't put that one on Lamar Jackson, but you can see how the pressure disrupted the Ravens passing game. That doesn't excuse that Marquise Brown drop. I want that to be very clear. So that's up there. It's also missed opportunities. There's nothing we could do about the first play where, they just do a scrape and exchange and eat up Freeman's run. There's nothing you can do about that. That's just a really well-defended defensive play. But then on the next run, Macari has to get movement and set inside on the outside shoulder of his guy. And then maybe Latavius Murray has the time to see that cutback lane, and that's a first down. Poor execution, again, on the offensive line. So, I kind of said at the start there wasn't really one reason for this. I think you could maybe look at what I just presented and be like, well, the offensive line was causing some issues on third down. That's fair. Definitely was probably the biggest culprits. It's kind of funny. You look at people criticizing that Lamar Jackson interception online. Do you guys blame him for that? Because when you watch it on all 22, and this is why coaches' film is so important, kind of hard to blame that on Lamar Jackson. We saw his head go from the left into the right, pick up Sammy, and then lead Sammy. But we also saw Marquise Brown stop. So I think that's tough. I think, and make no mistake about it, this was a tough game for Marquise Brown. It wasn't just the drops. It was he stopped running that route. His guy gets the interception. We saw him miss that block, which I personally think he needs to hit. People are probably going to disagree with me on that. That's fine. I think he needs to hit that block. If he hits that block and Murray bounces it, I think that's a first down. Rough game for him on third down. So, this was a game where a lot of things kind of contributed. Wasn't really just one thing, mostly offensive line, but also just poor execution, which I think, that's what Dan spoke to in the advanced stats. So that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think. What do you guys want to see out of the Ravens on Sunday against Denver on third down? Do we want to see better play calling? And actually, that's one thing we didn't talk about in this one. I thought the play calling was pretty good. I think there were enough opportunities to convert that I thought the plays were fine as called. Guys just need to go out there and execute, and that's what I want to see. Let me know what you guys want to see. I want to see better execution from these guys on the money down. That's all I have for you guys today. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other.